For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Happy New Year to you, everybody. How's it going today? It's kind of a weird show, right? Because we haven't had a new episode since the New Year, but then it kind of seems weird to come on and talk about the New Year's Eve shows on TV because they're already, they're long forgotten about at this point. So I'm going to talk about them. And then the same thing about New Year's resolutions and that whole big debate about do you make them, do you know, and looking at the last year as a dumpster fire that can't wait for it to be over and looking for something new in 23. I'm gonna be real with you for the next 30 minutes, you guys. All right, that's my commitment to you here on this show. So New Year's resolutions, the whole concept of New Year's, do you do anything? Do you actually celebrate? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of New Year's Eve? So you're going to talk about all of that for the next 30 minutes. Time wasting fun on The Scribble, starting right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. All right, let's talk about your New Year's resolutions. No, sorry, let's mock your New Year's resolutions because every year, we all know, nobody keeps that. I'm not breaking news by telling you this. We know that it's the usuals. It's the stop smoking, eat better, spend less, work out more time with my family, more time away from my phone, blah, 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 right? And you know that probably what's the date today? You've already fucked it up and you've ruined your year. But one of my friends years ago said to me, he was getting in shape, he was working out, he was really improving his health and fitness and well-being. And he's like, I'm not waiting for the new year because if it means that much to me, I'm going to do it now. Why do I need the calendar counting down as though it's punishment and saying to me, oh, you've only got 2 more days of eating garbage and then you're going to start having salads. No, if it's that important to me on December or even June, June 29th, if I'm going to start work, then I'm going to start. Why am I going to wait till December 1st? Because now it's like a jail sentence. It's like you got to turn yourself in and go into lockup. So I don't know that maybe I think as a kid I made a New Year's resolution just because that was something that you were doing in school, but never have I. Because I also don't really have any, again, like I said, the usuals that people say, those are kind of the standards, right? I wrote a book called Put Down Your Damn Phone already, so I'm certainly not glued to my phone all the time. Eating healthy, I mean, I live with a freaking fitness model. There's very little bad food in our house, like, ever. Spending less. Well, I wrote a best-selling book about being a cheapskate, so I'm not making a resolution to spend less. Be physically active. Again, I can't let myself go, is I guess sort of what I'm saying here, physically with my body, because again, and I enjoy being active and walking the dogs and so that's not an issue for me. So yeah, what kind of, I guess I could make a resolution to be like, less lazy in terms of cleaning the house, but we've got a cleaning lady, so like, whatever. But anyway, so that's the one thing that I've always said. Now, I also don't understand the whole thing about flipping the calendar to January, like that 22 was just this terrible year, and 23 is going to be so much better and whatever. Really? Like, because we heard this during the first year of the pandemic, and everybody was like, what a dumpster fire of a year, and next year's going to be better. And how'd that work for you? How did that look for, really? Come on now. Yeah, and because we're still dealing with it. So you can't go and say that just because you flip, and it's really just not metaphorical, like it's figurative, like it's just because you turn the page of a calendar that suddenly everything's washed away and you're starting anew. Really? And that's also why I've kind of never really got into the whole New Year's festivities anyway. But I've never, I don't know. And because Equinox, the gym, right, even said that this year too, where they were like, we're not taking new memberships on January 1st, you lazy fuckers. So keep your resolution and shove it, basically. And they got a bit of pushback. I actually kind of thought it was funny, because I feel the same way. Like, if it meant that much to you to get to the gym and start working out, you would have done it in November. You would have done it, but people use that justification of, well, now the holidays are over, so I'm going to start eating better. Well, then use that and say, come December 26th then, if that's what it is. Why do you need that January? Like, just then start doing it tomorrow. Start doing it today. And so I appreciate it. Now, maybe it was just a marketing campaign or something to go viral or whatever. Did it work against them? I mean, they took a bit of backlash on social media, but I mean, I don't see anybody like boycotting them because of it. Quite honestly, they were saying no to new people, but that just means less riffraff. You don't have the temporary people. As a member of that gym, I would have thought that was pretty cool. Okay, great. I'm not going to have these people who are going to fill up this place for the next couple of weeks and then all of a sudden disappear. I think that's, I like that. So one of the other things that I want to talk about, though, when it comes to the new year, is how everybody reflects on it being a terrible year or whatever. So do you know what I do? Because I have very little social life and I like, it's not dwelling on the past. I like looking back with fondness what is behind me. I don't know how else to describe it. So case in point, when we were doing travel tourism shows for our radio broadcasts, on the airplane, I would generally either go through the camera that we had, or if the pictures were already uploaded to a computer, I would, on the flight home, scroll through the pictures and kind of go back and refresh my mind. Now, you have to realize that because I would also have to write stuff about what we were doing, and I would have to do voiceover stuff for other segments outside of what we taped while we were on the ground. So when you're in the moment, when I'm doing things in whatever city we were in, I mean, I'm experiencing it, but I can't really live it because I'm having to be sort of in that moment and interviewing people and, being very well aware that cameras are there taking my pictures because that's what we're there for. We're here to promote this city and this excursion that we're on. And I didn't get really to enjoy it in that moment. So it wasn't until I would be on the plane going, oh yeah, look at that. That was pretty cool. I didn't even notice that when I was there because I just didn't have that eye for it. I couldn't have that eye for it. And so fast forward to when it's between Christmas and New Year's now, I do that because I have had such incredible moments in my life, whether it's covering Hollywood red carpets, going on these different trips, or, doing silly things with my dogs, or family functions, or whatever it is. Just the goofy things that we do at home. I take my phone one of those days between Christmas and New Year, and I go from January and scroll through. And I look at everything. So again, it's the work trips, it's whatever I happen to have. One year I had a dog die, and I'm that type of person who I had my phone there and I was taking pictures of me and him, and then me, resting my head on he's dead on the floor, but and so I would even look through those. And you shed a tear, right? Or when you have those good moments, you kind of laugh about it. Or I call over my husband and I'm like, do you remember when we did this? Do you remember when, we built that snowman, or the dogs went up on the snow pile, or whatever it was? Or remember when we went to that restaurant and this happened? And it's just kind of cool. And it's the same thing like when they recap all the celebrity deaths. I sit there and go, wow, I interviewed 5 of those people last year. Like, that's pretty crazy, So I look back at my accomplishments, and that's something that I've done since I was living at my parents' house, and I started my speakfreewithjb.com website. That's my weekly newspaper column, and I post all of those things on there. And I started that. I had a little office space in the basement, and I would, on the 1-year anniversary, and then every year after that, I would set out decorations. When I was assistant manager of Party City back in the day, I had acquired a whole bunch of decorations that we had as like store displays and things, and we wrote them off, and rather than throw them out, we were able to take them. So I had a whole closet full of just like everything: happy anniversary, Merry Christmas, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, whatever it was. And I would put happy birthday decorations up around my desk, and I would take pictures of it because it was just something that it was just something to celebrate my achievement. It wasn't really an accomplishment because I wasn't really, I guess I had a website running for a year, so that's an accomplishment if you want to look at it that way. But it was me acknowledging my efforts for the past year, and then second year and third year. And then now we still, to this day, have milestones celebrated. So when it was, my top 40 music show called Top of the Charts, every 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 10 year, every year, we had, whether it was cake and a photo op, or decorations, or we'd order pizza, or there was always some kind of celebration. April ended up being a very expensive month for us because that was the month that I started the Speak Free with JB website. That's when Top of the Charts premiered. That was when I had put out a book as well. So we had a whole bunch of things all in the same month. Actually, and there were a couple other things, if I'm not mistaken now. And then even the team was kind of like, oh my God, cake. We just had cake last week. Well, you know what? We're doing it again. And that was something that I've always, so it was the anniversary of a book. It was the radio show anniversary. It was just the dog's birthdays. It was anything, any reason to celebrate my accomplishment. I would do it, and I still do it. So when people are going and saying like, oh, what a shitty year, terrible year, this and this happened, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Look back at the cool things that happened and said, what did I achieve? What was I able to accomplish? What great things happened? Now, I'm not a motivational speaker because trust me, I can be the biggest like pessimistic dick in the world if I really want to be. But that's what I don't understand. And when you scroll like Instagram for those last couple days of the year and you're just, everybody's got these memes of like, oh, 22 was this and 23 is going to be this. And it's all behind me now. And fuck off with that, really, because it's January 1st. Like, who cares? You're still going to be in the same shitty job that you don't have the balls to quit. You're going to be in the terrible relationship that as much as you complain about, you stick with your partner. You're going to be eating the garbage food. You're not going to be able to put down your phone. I don't care how much you try to convince yourself and tell others that you will. You're not going to. So just deal with it. Like, why? I don't know why we need to like focus on things like that. Okay, so you don't have the motivation to get to the gym. Fine. Well, then if you become, if you develop health issues or whatever, well then there you go. I mean, that's kind of it. And so that's where the resolution thing, the doing that, I'm just kind of like, I don't get it. It's just so like, ugh. I don't even know. And it's not even, I guess, I was, like Mother's Day ended up being a business, very commercialized, right? That's how it all started. I don't even know. I'm trying to think, was this started by the gyms? Because now the gyms are telling you not even to bother to come in. So I don't know who started this whole thing about, wasn't the casinos because they want you to spend your money there. It wasn't the gyms because they want your memberships, except minus Equinox. But I've never understood it. I just don't get it. And same thing with having the big party. If you were to ask somebody, like, what exactly is the purpose of the New Year's Eve party? Well, to ring in the new year. But what does that mean? What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It means there's absolutely no meaning to it whatsoever. So back in the day, it meant that you had to buy a new calendar. That's all. It's sweet fuck all is what it means. That is now that's where people will come and say, well, that's being very negative. You know what? It's an excuse to party and have a good time. But then say that if that's what it is, if that's the entire and I'm clapping my hands like I'm somebody who's telling you off. You know when people do that. Then say that's what it is. It's an excuse to drink and get shit-faced and wear stupid glasses and hats. That's what it is. But don't make it sound like it's this big philosophical, this big movement and it's this moment in time. It's not. It's just not. I hate to burst your bubble, but it's not. It's not. You're still living the same miserable fucking life that you had 3 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it was. If you're not going to make the change when you feel you need to make the change, which would be right now because that's when you've identified it, then it's really nothing. It's really not a new year, and it's not a new you. So I hate that hashtag, too. New year, new me, new year. Nah, fuck off with that. It's not. Send me an email. They're waving. They're laughing, going, you're just... What did you... they're talking about your piece. Tim is saying you just pissed off your audience. Well, you know what, though? If you agree with me, great. Listen for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to go on another rant about New Year's. We're back on the Scribble right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble, still talking about New Year's and the New Year's shows. I mean, it used to be... Dick Clark was really the only show that you would watch back in there, because we didn't have as many TV channels, but that's basically what you watched on New Year's Eve. If you were at a house party, again, I was a kid at the time, so I was generally at, our neighbor's house or whatever it was. I wasn't going out in the town. You had that show on, in the background. It was that was the show. Quite honestly, I don't even know if there were other shows on at the time, because it was always just the Dick Clark show. That's what it was. And I actually, as a kid, I thought that the Ball Drop, I actually just thought that was part of their show. I didn't realize that it was like a New York institution or a global institution, really, depending on how you look at it. But so with the New Year shows, everybody either kind of has their favorites, right? Carson Daly used to do the one on NBC. Now it seems like they've given it to Miley Cyrus, who I'd never made that connection of her being a New Year's Eve kind of person. A party gal, sure, but, so last year, or I guess 2 years ago, she had Pete Davidson. This past one was Dolly Parton. And, obviously it's a little late to start critiquing these shows that happened now a week ago, but I record all of them just because I'm an entertainment reporter, so I have to sort of keep in the loop of what's going on, if there are any big scandals or dramatic moments. And I guess I have my thoughts on all of them. The Seacrest one kind of is almost too trendy for my liking now. That's how old I am, but he's older than me, so I don't really watch that one just because I don't know, it just seems like it ends up being a concert, which I guess is fine, but I haven't heard of most of the people that are on it anymore, and so the one that I've always watched I've always watched the CNN one, right, with Anderson. That's the one that I watched live, I guess. Like I said, I watched them all eventually, but that night, in the moment live, I'm watching CNN. And mostly just because that was the one that was so train wrecky, right? Whether it was Kathy Griffin or when it was with her or Andy Cohen. it was just so ridiculous that it kind of, okay. And it was almost fun to live tweet it as well, because you'd wanted to see if everybody else was kind of picking up on the same things that you were. And then, of course, they had their drama, right? You know, Kathy would piss off people or whatever it was. So I knew as an entertainment reporter that one's going to make headlines tomorrow. And then Andy going on his drunken rants. Well, you know that's going to be trouble. So those were just fun. But now, and it's not even just because CNN banned the booze, as I said. It's just changed. Like, I like it familiar. I think I'm going to talk about that next week on the show, that I hate change. So, to see Miley come out, great, but then Dolly Parton, I love her. Dolly was a surprise guest on the radio with me years ago. We did a photo op as well too. Love Dolly Parton, but I absolutely hate how she performs, because she's this legend, and this is where we're sort of divided on our team, is that people go and say, you know what, she's paid her dues. If she wants to lip sync her performances, have at it. And I say, okay, fine, but they make her sound cartoonish. Now, if you watched her, if you've even been to one of her concerts, or if you saw the performance on New Year's Eve, or the Christmas specials that she does on NBC, they make her voice sound so, not warbly, but just so cartoon. And I will say that if it's this, that's not how she talks. Like, I can't do a good impression, but just YouTube some clips after this, and you'll know what I'm talking about. She just doesn't sound real. She sounds like a computerized cartoon. And so I love seeing her perform, but I hate listening to it, if that makes any sense at all. So when, she's doing duets with Miley, okay, kind of it's fun. There was actually a lip sync fail, if I'm not mistaken. I am not mistaken. I know I'm not, because I'm an entertainment reporter. I saw it. And so you're just kind of like, oh, it's like that Mariah Carey's not going to be singing live, but it's Mariah Carey, so whatever, right? Same thing, Britney Spears or whoever. But they're also doing a lot of dancing and things, so it's a little bit harder to do that. And so that's kind of what I don't like about the Miley one, is just the Dolly Parton thing. Yeah, it just bothers me. And then CNN without the booze, like, it was just, I actually tweeted that it was more train wrecky without booze than it was with booze. Anderson couldn't hear, the audio was going out. There was a little bit of rain, and I tweeted that. I said, CNN can broadcast live from hurricanes, from a war overseas, and, without the extreme delays, without audio cutting out with whatever. But yet, frickin' downtown New York, Times Square, New York City, they can't put off the show. Like, how or pull off the show? Like, seriously, come on, there's something wrong here. And so I was saying that. Now it's like they just didn't give a shit. They didn't have the usual correspondence. And, they didn't have, they had Gary Tuchman and his daughter on. I don't know why they have this, like, family dual reporting, but they're usually, like, running a marathon or just doing something. And then they used to have the drag queen drop in Florida, right? There's somebody in the big high heel or some big shoe being lowered down to the ground. So they would always report from there. They had Randy Kay back in the day getting high in Colorado, right? And then just none of them. And so I posed that question on Twitter. I was like, I wonder if this is a CNN decision to not have any of these people, because you would check in with all the different cities in that time, in certain time zones, right? And to not have any of them, I wondered then if it was the correspondents that were like, yeah, if we can't, like, booze it up, fuck it. No thanks. Not doing it. I don't know. So if there's anybody who's got insight at CNN, send me an email, live@jbonair.com. But yeah, I mean, it was just train wrecking. And then Don Lemon, I know that sort of went viral, that they missed the countdown to midnight for the Central Time Zone. And Don just kind of wandering around the streets. And again, there's all this controversy about him being demoted from his primetime show. He says it's not a demotion. But now he's co-hosting with two others the morning show that nobody watches. And he used to have his sidekick, Brooke Baldwin, I think. Brooke something, yeah, was it? And the two of them would get, toasted. But then in the recent years, he's had too much drink. And he's like, oh, I don't want no more broke dick men or something like that. And you're kind of looking at this going, is this really a news anchor that's talking? And so then tomorrow, when he's sobered up and hungover and reporting on some world crisis, we're going to take him seriously? But then anytime I would tweet that in recent years, people would come at me going, oh, he's a human being. He's just, he's letting loose. He's being himself. I'm like, but there's things, like, we've just crossed that line now that I don't want to see Tom Brokaw getting shit-faced and, like, talking about broke-ass dick and things like that. I just don't, that I feel that it loses credibility. So now Chris Licht, who's the CEO who, he was with Stephen Colbert on CBS, now he's the big guy at CNN. I agreed with him that, let's try to build some credibility here because, again, so then you've got Don, I don't remember exactly what the quote was, but he said, I'm still a newsman, and then 2 seconds later you hear him say, oh shit, on the air. So it's kind of like, well, really though? Like, yeah, it's just such a weird disconnect. I ended up doing a Twitter poll that night during the broadcast, and I asked, is it better this year without booze? Is it better without booze, worse with booze, or the same? I think almost everybody said that it's worse. Like, it was just a really kind of boring show. And I think what made up for it, though, was the celebrities who were coming on and swearing and giving those outrageous moments. But other than that, I mean, it was sort of a snore. So I'll be interested. I don't know that they would implement the booze thing. They might allow like one or two, but not getting shit-faced again when the next New Year broadcast comes up. But CNN might have done themselves in after that one just because, yeah, it was kind of blech. And Anderson Cooper's giggle, by the way, we've got to go for a break. His giggle is cute when he's drunk or drinking. When he's just giggling, like his regular laugh, kind of creepy. I don't know if it's serial kill. Like, there's just something about him giggling just in regular laughter. He lost a bit of cuteness with me. So again, send me an email if you notice this or if you feel the same way. live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. I have been asked the same question many times over the years, especially when I was hosting syndicated radio shows. Or people made an observation and they told me something, not necessarily asked me a question. And they asked me, why do you speak so quickly? Why do you talk so quickly? And at first, I didn't know why. I had no idea. I just thought, I'm just excited about the point that I'm making, and and it's how I am. I just need to try to get it out as quickly as possible. It didn't dawn on me until a few years later that I started to sort of make observations. And I would wonder, okay, if I'm talking in a meeting with coworkers, if I'm on the radio, if I'm at the store talking with whoever, the cashier, or if I'm out with friends and we're having drinks or whatever it is, I'm sitting on the couch talking to my husband, like, where does the speed come from? And I figured it out. And you know what it was? So I'm going to answer this question for people who have observed, made the point, and then questioned. Why does Jeremy Bradley talk so quickly? It's because when I was growing up at home, and my mom still does this, we were interrupted like crazy. So you couldn't make your point or tell a story or whatever without being interrupted. And my mom still does this to this day, and I've called her out on it many times. Because I will be sitting... Now, again, I talk a lot, I'm long-winded, so you could get a good 7-minute story without me taking a breath. So I understand you're wanting to interrupt and be like, okay, shut up and get to the point. I get that. But it's from when I was a kid. I would, even just if I'm making an example, I would start telling my mom, oh yeah, no, we went to Panama for Christmas and we were on the beach. It's funny because our first night there, she would interrupt with something. Oh, well, the weather. Oh, we didn't do anything on Christmas Eve. And that's what I'm so used to. So I would then try to push out as much as I could in a short amount of time because I knew that I would be interrupted. I knew that I would be cut off. And that's what that stems from, is me going and saying, I've got to keep your attention before I'm interrupted. Even though it's my show, I'm the only one with a microphone, it seems like somebody's going to interrupt me. That's a big part of why I talk so quickly. Also know that there's a countdown clock right in front of me that's showing I've got just over 15 seconds it's 7 to 18 seconds to talk to you. And so that's also part of the deal too, is that on radio, we've got commercials and things that have to be done in a certain time. That's also part of it as well, right? So there you go. That answers your question. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Feel free to give me a shout live at jbonair.com. Happy New Year. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some